We join Loopy versus Flower now in Game 2. Flower needs a win on this game to stay alive in the series, and we've got classic matchup, the Ancient Empire versus the Modern Empire. Lady Goldenface versus Mr. Goldenface. Balthazar Gelt leading the way for the Empire against Kalita here on foot. Very interesting choice. Looking for those missile buffs, I guess? No? Not actually taking any missile buffs. Very interesting choice. Maybe forgotten to take a mount here, perhaps. But anyway, Lich Priest, Lore of Light. We've got some Skeleton Horsemen and Skeleton Spearmen up front with some Ushabti Great Bows and Carrion flying high in the sky. Skeleton Horse Archers off to the right. For the Empire, a sturdy, strong front line of Spearmen with plenty of Empire Knights supporting and Huntsmen mixed in for anti-large. Although their AP is not great, most constructs have in the 100 armor range, still a range within which Huntsmen can do work. Balthazar also on a horse over here. And we've got this hapless engineer getting absolutely blasted by Lore of Light and Ushabti and everything else. Couple of Outriders over here as well. So let's get in close as the men of the Empire approach. I believe they're also on the Sartosa color scheme, which is pretty wild to be honest, but they're going to come in, do some minimal armor-piercing damage to Ushabti. Not really accurate shooting at those monstrous infantry, especially at that range. But let's take a nice wide view and watch as the Empire approaches. This infantry engagement definitely going to go in Flower's favor here as the Empire State Troop Spearmen outclass the Skeleton Spears. It'll take them a while to win, though, so we'll check back in on that in just a moment. Taking a look at the ranged battle here. Ooh, nice Plague of Rust. Another way to make the Huntsmen sing in this matchup. Their lack of AP, relatively speaking, becomes not so much of an issue when you can target high-value units, tear their armor away with Plague of Rust, but Loopy wisely maneuvering away, able to get mostly free from the range of the Huntsmen. Yeah, definitely outranging them very significantly on those Ushabti Great Bows, so using that to best effect here. Try and fight at long range, having some targeting issues maybe a little bit there, but over to the side, Carrion trying to harass the Outriders, but Empire Knights doing a great job covering here. They're going to collapse this Nekar Horseman and start to potentially win the mobility battle here. We'll have to check back in on that once more. The Huntsmen do also turn and fire on the Skeleton Horsemen. It's kind of breaching the back lines a little bit right now. You have the Huntsmen and this Spearman also have a gap with which they can push up and through. This Nekar Horseman, once more, not up to quality standard of the Empire Knights and the Spearmen together in particular, so allowing a gap to be formed there. You can see the Skeleton Horse Archers going to maneuver on to kind of guard this side. We've got the Eyes of the Desert here as well, responding, able to fire in with their armor-piercing missiles, get anti-large and melee, a pretty good unit to try and cover this area, but Empire pressuring, and particularly with the Huntsmen, is quite scary. Outriders shooting some infantry as they get charged in the back here by some Carrion. Perhaps could try and screen through the Huntsmen. But let's see here. Getting that Realm of Souls, ticking off the second charge, and Empire Knights here getting caught by a Skeleton Horseman, taking very significant damage from the Archers and the Eyes of the Desert there. One unit just about routing, but Tomb Kings are also having some crumbling issues as well, and slowly but surely the ranged units are working their way in range. Counterfire those Ushabti Great Bows, going to continue pressuring them. Meanwhile, over here, these Empire Knights could charge in, start to threaten in melee a little bit, and make sure, yeah, these Ushabti can't just continue kiting the infantry missiles, which are quite a bit slower than them. Huntsmen, despite being reasonably quick, are still no match for the 50-plus speed of the Ushabti. So something to consider there. But the Outrider is finally free of the Carrion, going to come through. Nice hit on Balthazar. He does have some spell resistance, but that Shem's Burning Gaze is going to do a pretty decent amount of damage to him over time. That said, Balthazar's got his own tricks with the Venom Staff. Ooh, part of it hits a tree. That is unfortunate. Also kind of a bit of an explosive, which isn't going to do any damage there at all. But, yeah, the Ushabti Grey Bows. Nothing really to protect them at this point. The Empire Knights and the Outriders moving through. The lances couched into the moving statues of the Ushabti. Yeah, we can see the Eyes of the Desert here as well, teaming up with Khalida to charge in on some of these huntsmen, try and break them up. All the while, the Ushabti Greybows are continuing to fire while retreating. Another Shem's Burning Gaze there on Balthazar, and he's been netted as well, so quite the nasty combination. The Knights are desperately trying to get through for Flower and stop Balthazar from getting many large arrows to the face. Outriders also doing some more kind of screening damage here. Some Ushabti, looks like they're just about out of time. Another 20 seconds or so. Managed to do a little bit of anti-infantry damage here, but there wasn't really a lot of high-value targets they were going to be good against. Maybe could have used them as extra body blockers in this backline area, but oh no, there's a devastating final transmutation. It's going to hit multiple high-value Tomb King's units here, both their monstrous infantry regiments of renown. Going to take a massive amount of damage. Looks like it was cast actually on the Chosen of the Gods themselves, so we'll follow them. Do some good damage to that Lich Priest as well. The Eyes of the Desert will take a little bit less, but they do have Plague of Rust active. The Empire Knights still not going to trade super well there, but they'll do slightly better with the, with that Plague of Rust up. They'll actually get some damage in. Things are definitely looking pretty dire for the Tomb Kings, though, as the Empire slowly closes in. Yeah, looks like quite the pickle for sure. Tomb King's fleet is still alive, but ultimately not a lot that she can do as just kind of an infantry character. And had she been on her, what is it, Necropolis Beast Steed, whatever you'd call it, the snake, she would have been subjected to the anti-large bonus, of course, the Huntsman and everything else, so don't know that it necessarily would have gone a lot better. It would have been nice to have, certainly, but yeah, her armor piercing damage and decent stats on that mount make her pretty formidable against cavalry and other things. But yeah, this very wide build. I mean, obviously hindsight 2020 maybe could have used some chariots here, but there were so many Empire Knights and the Outriders. Maybe Flower had the tools he needed to. Oh, Venom Staff shooting in there. You can see what it does to a more blobbed up unit of infantry. Got some pretty good value. Yeah, Khalida's looking like, well, if I can get her card, actually, yeah, like 500 damage value, less than. So a little bit rough in that way. Fire definitely took some hits, but the Huntsmen in particular just coming through super hard. They were protected well, and imagine all of them are going to get some really nice value here, too. The Outriders are a little more curious. Their low accuracy means they're not going to be actually getting that much damage at the end of the day, but Khalida going to try and make her stand here. Fight through whatever units she can, but I'd imagine army losses are quickly approaching once these last two support units, 3 support units pop. This one skeleton infantry is very likely to just crumble away soon. I'd imagine army losses will hit and Khalida will just disintegrate. Good thing the Empire army doesn't have to fight her, because I actually do think they might potentially lose with how limited the ammunition is. The Huntsmen are going to do very minimal damage to her. I guess not that minimal of damage. She's just a foot character after all. And it seems like they're accurate enough. Ooh, Balthazar with the back-breaking final transmutation. He gets blasted there by the Venom Staff, but it's not going to be enough to save him. And yeah, that final transmutation will definitely finish it. Without that, maybe a little bit more of a dicey proposition. But Lita bravely taking all the sins of the Empire, and it's a victory for Flower. He stays in the series, and what a game it was. Love to see an Empire victory, and a nice, just very traditional kind of combined arms Empire Huntsman build. Knights doing a good job supporting. A couple of them even pay for themselves. One of them at least. The Outriders, more of a support role here as well, but definitely the Huntsman got quite a bit of value on a few different ones. 104 kills on Empire. Spearman's not bad. 107 here, just going after the skeletons in the front line. Definitely interesting build from Loopy. Something a little bit unusual, but I do like it at the end of the day. Very much reliant on these Ushabti Greybows. They'd get pretty good value, not quite enough to fully carry. Eyes of the Desert also didn't quite get enough value at their right targets, but certainly was interesting. The value on the Lich Priest, yeah, maybe expected a little bit more out of those Shems. He was able to take out the Engineer hardcore, though, which, tactically is a good thing to do, so he can't refill ammo. Otherwise, get damage with his own armor-piercing missiles, but definitely an interesting one. If you guys enjoyed that, be sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, all that fun YouTube jazz. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.